There's plenty to think about before you buy a home computer.
Electronic games being heralded by folks in the trade as this year's holiday bestseller.
Children have skipped school or stolen money to play the games.
I'll be looking at the electronic game craze.
And at the end of the tape, I'll be back to tell you how to safeguard your computer.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Streamer News. All right, everything seems to be running properly. I think we're good. Gonna turn down the music a tiny bit. Let me know if y'all can hear it or not hear it. All right, everything seems to be running. Welcome to Streamer News, Friday, July 2nd. Thank you for sticking with me. We have some exciting stuff going on. My overhead camera's being dumb. There we go. All right. We got cool stuff going on, ladies and gentlemen. As a bit of a housekeeping note, next weekend, we wanted to bump it because this weekend is a holiday weekend and people may not be available. But next weekend, on July the 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern, we will have our Discord community game night. We're going to be doing Battlefield 4, which you can pick up on Origin or Steam. Doesn't require Punk Buster. They use a different anti-cheat, so it should actually work out pretty well. And we may be giving away copies during the event, but we love having these Discord community game nights, have a blast with them, and I think Battlefield 4 will be a fun game to jump into and really mess around in and the like. So yeah, just wanted to let you know about that, making sure everything's running before I get too deep into things. We are probably going to have a quicker show here. There's not a ton to talk about, but I wanted to still talk about a few things and get connected with you guys here. By the way, I am using a new lighting setup here, which should look a little bit nicer, and pretty soon we'll be switching to no longer having the microphone on camera anymore, which I know a lot of you prefer. But I am super stoked with how the lighting looks now. I think it looks significantly better, and I will be having a video on that coming maybe next week. In terms of channel housekeeping stuff, we had a few videos go up since the last Streamer News. We had, of course, the review of the Epos B20, which had a lot of people asking about since, of course, it has part of my name on it. So that went up. We had a review of a mobile kind of oriented capture card, which was mostly a disappointment. Everything you need to know about Windows 11 so far. In fact, I even have Windows 11 running on my gaming computer I just built here, so Shazamo. And then, of course, my studio tour. The tour of the space I use here. Go watch that if you missed it. It is 43 minutes of just awesome gadget prawn and setup prawn, and it's a darn good time, and I would hate for you all to miss it because it is freaking awesome. I'm actually going to switch to something here real quick. I'm trying out a few new webcams, none of which I can actually talk about, like, what they are, but I can show you, like, a view of the studio. I don't have any of the backlights on, so actually this is a pointless endeavor. Never mind. This is what a singular webcam with the wrong side of the lighting looks like. I'll turn it over here. Actually looks pretty solid. Probably looks pretty crappy tuned up to 4K. Anyway, we've got a lot of webcam coverage in the next couple weeks. I picked up a ton from the Amazon Prime Day sale. And then I just ordered the Anker C300. It was on sale for $20 off last night. It may still be on Amazon. Actually, we will check that real quick. This is the 1080p 61 Linus Tech Tips did like a sponsored video for. If I go into incognito. Are we still? Yes. Okay. So this is the Anker PowerConf C300. It is a 1080p 60 camera, supposedly. We'll see how it does. My affiliate link isn't working, so I would just drop this one in chat instead. Again, I haven't actually reviewed it yet. Anker actually reached out to me right before it launched, asking me to review it, and I was like, yeah, I'd love to. And the email bounced back, because apparently it's really common for Anker to just like have high turnover rates for their PR reps. And so I literally can't get a hold of anyone at the company to send me a review unit. So since this went on sale for a $20 off coupon, I went ahead and ordered it for review for myself. But if you want to jump on it, take the risk, and, you know, maybe return it if it sucks, there you go. But yeah. Studio Tour is the big one I want you all to watch, and of course there is a little bit more of the granular details available in the Nebula Extended Cut. Also, if you haven't already, go ahead and follow me over on Amazon for the Amazon streams. I am still doing the AFK chats on Tuesday. We were on hiatus this week, needed a break in general from it, but we do lots of cool stuff over there, a little bit more focused on the less kind of bigger picture products, and it helps out a lot if you all go ahead and follow me over there. Really helps out the show. We've been doing some cool stuff over there. And then, of course, I would be remiss if we didn't talk about our merch. Desk mats. I'm actually using... I don't think I can show you. I think my capture card is screwed up. If I go to... Bam. Yeah, I'm having issues with my Threadripper motherboard, where I think the last PCIe slot is dying. And so the capture card that's in it, which is the CamLink Pro, is not working at all. And that's not the fault of the CamLink Pro. It is literally anything I put in that last slot just ends up not working properly. So I'm using the desk mat right now. I have another one here. Bammo. Well, we've got the cool blank VHS style design. We've got pins and stickers as well, which I think are pretty sick. We got one of the stickers sitting right here, actually. Love this design, and we're going to continue doing more cool stuff with these as well, but pick these up while you can, and you get a free trial of Nebula when you do. And of course, music provided in the stream, provided by Backing Track, backingtrack.gg, or join our Discord if you want free downloads for yourself. It's free, royalty-free music that you can use in your videos and in your streams and podcasts and things like that. We have it on just about every major streaming service out there, as well as we have specific playlist links for specific ones. It's on Pretzel as well. And like I said, we got free downloads for both the songs and the stems available in the Discord as well. Sorry, I was confused by what was going on in chat. Someone in chat is asking C930E or C920. Quality-wise, they are effectively the same camera in terms of like the image you'll get, but the C930E has a super wide angle, whereas the C920 is quite a bit more cropped in on your face. So it depends entirely, like, otherwise they're basically the same camera, so it just depends on the angle that you want for your specific, setup. Cujo says this is by far the most grippy desk mat I've owned. Wow. Yeah, I have to say, mine doesn't budge either. Can't say it's noticeably more grippy than other ones I've used, but I would consider that a good thing. Reflow the solder or blow the motherboard slot. It's not, it's a power related, it's like a power delivery related thing. It's not dust. All right. Moving on to today's topics here. We got some interesting stuff, starting with Corsair announced their first X1000D series case in a very long time. This is the 7000D, which is still a full tower. It's not like the 1000D, which was considered like a super tower or something because it was basically a double PC tower. But this is a full tower case that is huge. It can fit multiple 360 or 420 millimeter radiators. It can fit up to 12 120 millimeter fans or 740 millimeter fans. It includes 3 140 mil fans. It looks like a water cooling dream. I could totally see myself if I end up doing a new video on, or a new build with Threadripper Pro or Threadripper 5000, especially given I need to apparently swap motherboards at some point. I could see myself using a case like this for the airflow, for the extra water cooling headroom and things like that. However, I would have to offload my optical drives into another case, of course. But I would still imagine in some scenarios, especially for my setup, that the Fractal Design 7XL like I have now, or the Meshify 2XL might be better choices, but for those of you who like the Corsair design, it's pretty sick. They also have a 420 millimeter AIO cooler, which is pretty insane. It is the H170i Elite CAPELLIX, which is a weird name. but it's just like all of their other AIOs, but it's 420 mil, which is a lot of cooling. I think they're showing it on a Threadripper chip here, even though the block is a little small, but that is pretty sick. I could see myself using it, like for example, my retro game streaming rig is running the 3960X, and currently it has a 280 mil AIO on it. I could see myself in those scenarios where it's a quick rig where I don't want to do a full custom loop, throwing that kind of rad on there if I had the case for it. But frankly, if I'm going to have a case that big, unless it's just a holdover, I would imagine you should just go custom loop. Like, there's no point in buying a case this big to have it sit so empty over here. Like, and they just have all the fans put in there in the visual just to show like what can be done necessarily compared, not, you know, what you should do. But that's a stupid setup for airflow. But yeah, speaking of AMD, Threadripper, blah, 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 EVGA is actually making Ryzen motherboards. They're having a new EVGA dark motherboard coming for Ryzen, which is the first time they have made AMD boards in a very long time. Now, they're not making AMD GPUs, and we don't have a ton of details yet, but it's pretty cool. I'm excited to see what they do with it, because EVGA makes some pretty cool motherboards, especially for like high-powered overclocking and things like that. I think the RTX 3090 may fit in this case. Yeah. So since someone was already asking about it, I wanted to go ahead and talk about the Dell UltraSharp 4K webcam. So I do not have this in hand yet. You may have seen the Linus Tech Tips or the short circuit video about it. They obviously got an early sample for review to do the sponsored video. Or I don't know if it was sponsored. It was at least a launch coverage video. However, this microphone, this webcam is not shipping until August. I have it on my list. I sent Dell an email, usual review request, hoping I hear back, but Dell's a super big company that's a little tough to, get a hold of. But my rule was originally going to be, if I didn't hear back by, say, late next week, I would go ahead and place the order for myself. I'm trying to spend less money this quarter because things are a little whatever. But obviously, I'm going to get this webcam and review it. However, I went to their website, and in fact, I don't have that pulled up. I went to their website just to go on and order it because I was going to see if it was on Amazon or something. It's currently only available on their website. Get it by Wednesday, August 4th with express delivery. It's over a month away, and someone else in chat before the stream even started mentioned that they had placed an order and then got a later notice that their order was delayed by a month. So I don't know if they are, like, delaying the release, if something was wrong. I don't know if they just had it wrong to begin with, but it is not going to be available for at least a month. So my rule still applies. If they don't respond to my review request by the end of next week-ish, I'll give them I'll give them all of next week, and if they hadn't responded by the next week after that, I will go ahead and order it. But I won't be able to review it anytime soon unless they send me a review unit because the orders are going to be delayed by a month. So that's really crappy, especially in terms of coverage, since they sent it to a channel early and not the rest of us. But and that brings up some concerns, honestly. But I'll check it out. Honestly, I wasn't super impressed with it. It's just one of those, we're going to give a kind of crappy high resolution and then crop into it to follow you around. I actually do have a couple AI, supposedly, tracking webcams that actually move to follow you and stuff, which are pretty cool, that I will be reviewing soon. I was hoping to loop this one in with the coverage, but it may be that I review these first and then just kind of use those to compare once the Dell gets here. But what kind of Dell camera is $400? It's not. It's $200. 199.99. Not 399.99. Anyway. Someone in chat asking, I wonder why you don't go full Linux. Because even just looking at my desk, not even considering all the software issues, just about everything sitting on my desk is not supported in Linux. None of the software I use is really supported in Linux. It's not a great time. Not a great time. Moving on. xCloud, or the artist formerly known as xCloud, which is now called Xbox Cloud Gaming, now has a beta rolling out on PC and then on Apple devices, so iOS, iPad, iPhone, those kinds of things. They are finally rolling it out. There's been some videos of people testing it, and you had to like rig up your computer to pretend to be an Android TV or just use an Android TV box. They finally have PC and iOS rollouts coming, which should be pretty exciting. I am actually planning on taking a look at this using a variety of different things, because I think we need to start having more conversations about cloud gaming, especially with the current delay or shortages with hardware and stuff. I know some of it's getting better, but I think we're gonna, TSMC and many of the other companies making the source products or, components for these things have been saying that, delays are gonna happen until into 2022. So I think this is one of those things that like with suddenly we're getting a ton of webcams coming out and innovations in the work from home front, a little too late. I think this is a scenario where we should have had a better infrastructure for cloud gaming established and polished a little bit better in order for us to be ready for times like these, and that didn't happen. So now we're going to see stuff like this kind of come up and get improved and worked on a little bit better in a way that when we have the next major world event, we're going to be a little bit more prepared with stuff like this, which ideally we won't have to face in a long time. But let's be real. Half the world is like on fire at the moment. Half of it's underwater. All kinds of crazy stuff is happening on top of the pandemic is still spreading in other countries with variants and stuff. I think we're like I said, I think we need to have a lot more conversations about this kind of thing. And frankly, I do think it's the future for casuals. I do think your average person who just wants to go play a video game is always going to be more likely to, just do something where they can stream it through their browser if that's a good enough experience, rather than buying a big expensive game console or having to upgrade computer hardware or anything like that, because that gets pretty wild. Yeah, so I am excited to see where cloud gaming goes. I do realize, I have full awareness as someone who runs high refresh rate monitors and 3090s and 3080s and whatever, that it won't replace your on hardware gaming for most people, but I think for the casual, this is going to be a big deal. And speaking of games, I'm fairly certain we're getting a new Dead Space, be it a remastered trilogy akin to Mass Effect, if it's Dead Space 4, if it's a complete reboot in some ways, because EA, there's already been rumors originally, before the next piece of news I talk about, there was already rumors being reported that EA was reviving Dead Space with a reimagining of it and things like that. But then they updated the Dead Space YouTube channel for the first time in years. And so I think we're finally getting a return to a series that I loved very dearly, even if the third one was kind of whatever. And I'm very excited to see what comes of it. I think we have a little bit, like a month or so before we hear about anything, but I am very excited to hear, where things go from there, because, oh boy, I am super stoked. The original Dead Space. So, as just a quick tangent, my original computer that I played games on, in high school. So I had some older stuff that ran like the Pentiums and things like that. But my first one that ran like modern games very well, with a dedicated graphics card that I bought myself and things like that, was the high school gaming PC that died that I made a video on, that I put the 9800 GT in. I bought that to play Halo, and then never ended up getting Halo, but I ended up playing one of the first games I booted on it was Dead Space, and it was a lot of fun. It was hard to run on that 9800 GT, but it was a lot of fun, and I've been, I have fond memories of that being one of my first forays into modern PC gaming and things like that. We have a question in chat talking about camera. I have the PS4 camera. Can I use it on my laptop for YouTube? Unfortunately, no. The PS4 and PS5 cameras have this very weird DRM kind of thing where they load the firmware and the driver for it from the PlayStation itself. And so if you plug it into the wrong PlayStation, or you plug it into a computer, it's basically like a paperweight at that point, because it doesn't have any firmware booting from it. Now, there were some projects to get the PlayStation 4 camera working where you could feed it the firmware and all of that on PC. I haven't looked into it too detailed, and most of those, like rigging up the Kinect or rigging up the PS3 camera or whatever, you end up getting very stupid, low quality or awkward results that I don't consider it to be a good idea. But I know that people were working on it. But I think the PS5 camera is still completely off the table. I think there was some progress made with PS4, but I'm not sure because they did something real weird with. I don't know if that's a security thing to be like, oh, no one can spy on you if we have to, give our encrypted firmware through the kernel or something. But it was a really weird decision. Whereas previous console cameras literally just plugged into your USB port and worked as a webcam because that's all they were. Sony does some weird stuff with their consoles that I just don't even pretend to understand, I guess. As a quick note, the company formerly known as X-Rite, which made screen calibrators and things like that. In fact, I have a Spider or something that I bought last year that I still need to use to calibrate my screens. They are now known as Calibrite. I haven't found out too many details about the, specific rebranding or whatever, but if you get confused as to who is who, Calibrite is what was formerly known as X-Rite. Some of their products do still say powered by X-Rite, and I think that is a transition thing where it's like, this is the technology powering it, and then eventually they'll have a new version of the sensor or whatever that will just be Calibrite based. But they are already clearly rebranding all of the existing screen calibrators and things like that. So pretty interesting, but like I said, probably doesn't affect anything in the short term at least. Just wanted to note it because some people get confused when there's stuff like that. Watch parties for Twitch are rolling out on Android or iOS, which is pretty neat. I've seen some communities really embrace these and do a lot of cool stuff with it. Personally, I've not even participated, but if it's up to you, if you're interested, go for it. And one last note before we hit a quick break, which unfortunately is not a break for me because I don't have ad spots rendered. PayPal is sending out emails there introducing higher fees moving forward as of August 2nd. In some cases, the actual rate that you get charged of the added 2 or 3% is actually going down, but they are slapping on all of their payments a 19 cent increase in the fees that you pay. But with PayPal digital payments, you're actually paying substantially more. You're going up 0.5%. So worth noting. Honestly, it's until you get to scale, which is where it benefits PayPal, until you get to scale on a per transaction basis, it's not going to be any significant increase. But you may notice this even with tips you get through streams and things like that. You may start getting less because there's a slightly higher fee involved as well. All right, I'm gonna take a drink real quick so I can do these ad reads. Give me just a moment here. Today's stream is brought to you by Nerd or Die. Nerd or Die is your one-stop shop for pretty much everything you need to polish up your stream. They have overlays, panels, singer transitions, alerts. They even do some pretty cool free resources, which we'll show in a minute. Some of my favorite packages are, of course, the more retro or technical-oriented ones, such as the Synthwave pack. I actually use some of these elements in my streams and videos, sneak them in to blend in with the rest of my graphics, as well as ones like the Terminal one, which I don't use the main layout myself, although I have nothing against it, but I do love the stinger transition that they included that I actually have used in my videos and customized fully with the colors and the text and things like that. I love the stuff that they make. It's always high quality. Apparently they just launched, which was not here yesterday, I don't think, a 20% off sale with Summer 20. You can head over to eposvox.gg/nerdordie, and if you're watching this when this summer sale is not going on, you can use coupon code EposVox for 15% at checkout. But they also have, where is it? They have the media looper that they just released, which I don't think they have made easy to find, but it's on their YouTube channel and Twitter. But here it is. The media looper is really sick because this is a lower third, cycler. It's something that it's been on my list to set up for a very long time, and I actually think I'm going to do a live stream soon, just completely revamping my tutorial making setup, and I'm going to involve this. But it's literally an HTML file that you just drag and drop, and then it cycles through different call to action lower thirds. So you can do sponsor banners, like, subscribe, or promote, kind of like Kit Boga does at the bottom of his screens, where it's like Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, Instagram, whatever. And this is a free resource that they just put out because they like helping streamers. So eposvox.gg/nerdodie. And of course, brought to you by our merch. We already showed it. I'm not going to, well, we've got desk mats. I am going to pull it up. We've got classic VHS style on brand desk mats, pins, and stickers, and each of them get you, well, you only get to activate it once, but if you haven't signed up for it yet, you get a 30-day free trial to Nebula with your purchase of a piece of EposVox merch. I absolutely love these. Of course, helps out the channel a lot and gets you some cool stuff. Y'all have been sharing your pictures of your stickers and your pins on different things on Twitter, and in our Discord server we have a merch chat channel. Love seeing what you all are doing with them. If you've got one of our pieces of merch set up in your space or on your bag or whatever, send a picture over, either on Discord or Twitter. Let us know about it. And of course, the background music providing for today's stream, which is currently a little on the quiet side, we're going to bump to a more exciting song here, is by Backing Track. At backingtrack.gg, we provide royalty-free music for your streams, for your podcasts, things like that, in rock and heavy metal style, which is something that not a lot of services have. We got some really high quality stuff. We're doing free releases every month. We have stems available if you want to remix them to your heart's content or put your own twist on it or whatever. It's available on Pretzel as well as pretty much every major streaming service for you to add to your playlist, and you can get free downloads of the stems and songs themselves over at eposvox.gg/discord or discord.gg/eposvox. Both of those links work. I forget about the partner link sometimes. Yeah. All right. Moving on. Always got to get all of those out here. Yeah. Appreciate you all stopping by today's stream. There is a new documentary going, and of course it's already met its goal, but there's some cool benefits if you want to support it and things like that as well. It is FPS, the first-person shooter definitive documentary. I said that wrong. But it is actually being backed in some capacity by John Romero, so I'm surprised they're not just calling it Doom Clone. But going through the history of the first-person shooter genre, it should be pretty awesome. You can get Blu-ray copies and things like that. I was going through here. Of course, you get credits, you get digital release, you get Blu-ray or DVD release, you get the big box. That's the one I want to sign up for. I haven't actually signed up for it yet. I'm doing that Monday, I believe. But you get like a big box, classic big box PC game release version if you'd like, and then there's like crazy high tiers where you get to submit gameplay and have your gameplay memorialized in it, or crazy associate producer roles or whatever. But yeah, just wanted to highlight this as kind of a cool find because I love projects like this, and these are the ones where they're already in the process of making this thing, so it's kind of a guarantee that it's going to happen, whereas stuff like the Genki Shadowcast, you don't know that they're going to deliver. A documentary, those usually pan out well, and I actually have quite a few of these on Blu-ray, some of which I haven't even watched yet, so I need to get around to watching those. But yeah, just wanted to highlight that as I appreciate when these projects come to light. Rode Connect. So I actually have here, I skipped to the unboxing section. We will get to that towards the end of the stream. I have right here the Rode NT USB Mini. I want to cover this. I also have a PreSonus Revelator, which is provides a similar software package. This is a USB condenser microphone that provides a similar software called Rode Connect to the Elgato Wavelink software. And I covered this when they released the software, because this might kind of release on its own and then they release the software later. And they have provided an update to that software, which provides a sound bad section, a swear button, a trash talk mode. I'm not sure exactly what these detail, and they did not provide any more details, as well as a solo button for each channel to give you more mixing and mastering controls, which is pretty neat. So I am excited to take a look at this. Like I said, I have this and the PreSonus that I want to compare to the Elgato Wave and show you the differences that you're getting between Wavelink and Rode Connect and between the microphone quality and so on. But pretty excited to see that they didn't just pop out the software and leave it, that they're actually, supporting it over time. And so stay tuned for that video as well. Samsung has announced their new 2021 Odyssey monitors. So I've been asking you all on Twitter what your favorite monitors for some high refresh gaming stuff are. And a lot of you actually mentioned the Odyssey G7 and G9, which was surprising to me given that they seemed to originally launch with some weird issues at launch. But they have announced a new 2021 line of these monitors, some of which are curved. You have the G70A is a 28-inch 4K 144 hertz panel. It supports HDR, but it's only 400 nits. It's FreeSync Premium Pro. I can't believe there's something called FreeSync Premium Pro. Like, premium is enough. But it's also certified for G-Sync compatible. It'll have DisplayPort 1.4 and HDMI 2.1, which will let you use your next-gen consoles as well. Then you have the G50A, which is 1440p, 165 Hz, 350 nits, but still HDR, and then DisplayPort 1.2 and HDMI 2.0, and that is also G-Sync certified for compatible, not official G-Sync, but that's only FreeSync Premium instead of FreeSync Premium Pro, because there's a difference. And then lastly, they have a basic 27 and 24-inch 1080p 144 Hz panel, no HDR support at all, FreeSync Premium but not G-Sync compatible, and DisplayPort 1.2, HDMI 1.4. So new monitors, pretty cool. They're going to be expensive, but from what I have heard, the Odyssey line has actually been fairly high quality. So I am excited to try one at some point. I think, so I've been building, which I still have the video coming on, but I've been building a new gaming computer that's super high spec, but also got a fun twist on it. And while I can't justify it right now, at some point I want to upgrade the monitor that I play it on. Because in the house, the monitor my gaming PC is hooked up to is a 32-inch. It's the Viotech VA panel 144 Hz 1440p monitor. And originally I was set on going to 4K 120 Hz. But I'm actually thinking a good compromise that I would like to aim for instead would be... Wait till they come up with FreeSync Premium Pro Plus. Yeah. But I'm thinking what I actually want to go with is 1440p 240 Hz. And so I am interested in seeing the monitors that come out in that space, because that's a little bleeding edge, it's a little obnoxious to work with. But I think it would be pretty fun and kind of provide a compromise, because I do like 240 Hz monitors, but I don't want to game at 1080p anymore. I know I'm spoiled in saying that, and if I had lower spec GPUs or a 24-inch monitor, 1080p is fine, but at the 27 or higher size, 1080p just isn't great. And I don't want to compromise on that for the higher refresh rate, when honestly, 120, 144 is fine for the most part. But a 1440p 240 Hz monitor would give me the advantage of being able to play 240 Hz on the games that I can run it at, and then 144 or 120 whatever at, or you know, the games that can't run at double that rate, and still have beautiful 1440p for each. So I'm excited to see what monitors come up in that. The next topic is a little frustrating. I'm actually going to point you, I believe Lon Seidman has been talking about it. But I'm not a fan of how this mess has been handled. There's been a major weird exploit / targeting of the WD MyBook Live drives. These are kind of like NAS drives, but they're a single hard drive just connected to the network. I used to have some of these back in like 2014. They got super slow over time, but it's effectively like a singular external hard drive connected to the network. They also have the MyBook Live Duos, so I guess technically that's 2 hard drives. But they are essentially NAS drives, but there is an exploit that's being that's compromising these drives, and people are just hitting factory reset on them or wiping all of the data. And multiple users have reported issues with this, and it seems to be spreading. And WD has literally nothing to offer but to take your MyBook Live drives off of the network. They were actually apparently really quiet and just kind of not responding to this at all for a while, and it seems like they finally released a statement, which is what this article is about, saying that at this time we just recommend you disconnect your MyBook Live drive from the internet to protect the device. And that's it. Like, they have nothing to offer but to just take your drive off the internet, which is amazing. Like, oh boy, I feel bad for anyone who has bought these. Here's one of the threads of someone being like, message in the GUI says, factory reset today. All the data is gone. Now, actually, I think it was Gamers Nexus that was talking about this, not Line Sideman. So you do have, of course, like, as a singular drive like this, just doing a factory reset without doing like a zero out or anything, you do have the ability to recover your data. It's not fun. It can be expensive, especially because you probably have to send it off to someone to do it. So it's probably pricey, and for most users, they're probably just going to, you know, move on, unfortunately, which sucks for those who are losing data that they really need, especially if they were using it as some sort of backup or something. But this is a terrible situation going on right now, and it's really unfortunate to see this. I frankly, like, after my experiences with them, which again, this was like 7 years ago, but back in, actually more than that. Well, no, 7 years ago, back in like 2014, I frankly can't really recommend them, especially this is apparently saying the last firmware update they even got was in 2015. But holy hell, this is just a huge mess. I just wanted to highlight it in case any of you out there have a MyBook Live drive hooked up, or you know a family member does. Make sure they go unplug that right now, because if they even try to mess with it, you know, to run an update or to reset everything or whatever because they think something went wrong with it, you could actually delete all of the data. And as Chandler's pointing out in chat, yeah, it seems they don't have a clue what to do about it. So, assuming that they just don't come up with a solution, we might be looking at like a class action lawsuit kind of scenario. But I don't know. It's just a huge mess. I just wanted to help signal boost that if you have anyone out there, take it offline, please, quickly. Next up, so this is really interesting. I'm gonna mute this video. They just did a goofy little video here, demoing it. But they talked about at CES or GDC or GTC or something last year, Nvidia was talking about using AI to improve the basically video quality of video calls due to bandwidth compression and things like that. And they are finally rolling out the software support for this. And they have a few different things coming on here. So this is called Vid2Vid Cameo. And it is using AI to make improvements to video calls. So one of the instances that they are showing is that they are centering your body position so that you're actually facing the person you're talking to, which gets a little weird, uncanny valley, but like the person is talking at an angle and it centers them so they're actually looking at the person they're talking to, which helps for scenarios where, like, you know, say you're talking into a phone, your camera is over here, but your screen's over here, so you're probably looking away from the camera to look at the screen, and this will center you back to looking at the camera, which is pretty interesting. Although, to be fair, you do need, of course, a RTX card for this, I believe. Although they're implementing it on the like, I think some video conferencing solutions will be able to implement it on their back end as well. So we'll see. But then they have a couple other features they're rolling out as well. So that's one feature, is using the AI to adjust your position, which this isn't the first time that they've done this. And in fact, Photoshop has rolled out some AI-based features that you can change your head tilt and the lighting angle and stuff like that as well. Then they have what is effectively Bitmoji generation that is tracked to your face without needing face tracking stuff, like just a basic webcam. It's tracking all of that to your character, which I think this AI avatar stuff will be very beneficial for those doing VTubing and things like that. So I am super excited to see the implications for that community and for that kind of technology. It's something that I've been looking into more and more. I've been trying to get feedback as to what software people are using and things like that. But it's also potentially used for scenarios where you have no bandwidth for video calls at all, but you still want a video representation. I don't see this taking on for that purpose. I say that keeping in mind that VTubing is a thing, so it could totally take on and people be fine with it. But I would imagine for like professional environments, being a cartoon character would end up in the awkward "I am not a cat" scenario. But I do see this having tons of potential. Obviously, there have been other basic, and there are other basic, face tracking solutions that don't need anything fancy, but improving it and GPU accelerating it and whatever is always a good thing. And then they have a third technology that is the one they advertised last time, which is actually using AI to improve effectively the video compression. And what it's actually doing here is it's taking a still image and, sending that over, because it can do that for a single frame without costing bandwidth, and then using AI on your end to detect what parts are actually moving, and then using that to either regenerate the frame using the AI or only update that frame with the data. And so you get some weird, like, deep fake kind of artifacts at points, but the end result ends up being very impressive, because instead of actually compressing the video in real time and sending that compressed video stream over what is a ridiculously compressed feed, especially over mobile networks or whatever, it's generating it separate from the actual video source. And so we can end up with some weird scenario, guys. Some weird scenarios. I don't know why I said guys. I think I was reading Hardline saying the lawyer guy. We can end up with some weird scenarios and some weird uncanny valley stuff. And like I said, you might end up with some weird deepfake artifacts as a result. But effectively, you are able to generate video from a still image by tracking the movement rather than compressing the video itself, and get far better results. And so these innovations are primarily targeted at video calling and conferencing, which is what they're targeting at here. But I really think the implications for other forms of use can be really cool here. And I could actually see, in a, speaking of like deepfake kind of way, combining all three of these things to then create all sorts of new stuff. So if you've seen the like the memes people were posting for a little while, where you take an old painting or something and then they make them start dancing to a song and the whole head starts moving and bobbing and stuff like that, you can kind of do stuff like this. So between the AI avatar stuff, where it's tracking your face and applying that to a digital sculpture, between that, the adjustment of your position detection, and then using AI to generate a frame without needing the actual video to be compressed, you could effectively get better deepfakes for a video call. I don't think this would replace motion video where the camera is moving around the subject a whole lot, but it would replace, like, we may see scenarios, which this is the dark side of it, but where you have video calls where someone is faking who they are, because you could theoretically, now this is way off in the future, I'm not saying this is inherently causing problems, but like we could see a combination of these put together to where I could take a picture of, say, I could take a picture of Linus and have the AI translating my face to Linus and me become Linus, with a bit better results than like the deep faking stuff they did, because it's a video call, so you're not looking for all of the different like clues that it might be fake or whatever. So lots of weird stuff could come from this, but I don't think, like, for now, I think the innovation here could be absolutely massive. Last couple topics for today. Modders have already modded in AMD's FSR, or Fidelity FX Super Resolution, into GTA 5. So it'll be really interesting to see if, say, like Reshade or something can just get this added in effectively at, like, effectively a driver level, so that we can have it in basically any game whatsoever. Because there are, there are plenty of situations where the game dev may no longer update their game, and you want to add it to a game or something. Like, I feel like with how open and apparently easy it is to implement, there needs to be basically just like an FSR master tool that just injects it into any game. Obviously, GTA 5 is a little bit of a special situation because they support mods and mod tools and things like that, and it's done through modding, but I think a lot of games could see similar results, or they might find a way to inject it through like Reshade kind of stuff as a result as well. Twitch is rolling out a beta of follower emotes, where you can get emotes for people who just follow your channel instead of subs only. This is rolling out to select partners and affiliates who have instant upload eligibility. But they're getting feedback during the beta, and we'll roll it out more widely this year, which is pretty cool. People love their emotes. They want to, have people have more access to it. I'm not sure what the ramifications of follower emotes might be, because, perhaps subs may feel they have less value by it being available to followers. Maybe followers will feel they don't need to sub because they have the emotes. I honestly don't know how strong there is of a correlation between emote availability and subscriber rates or whatever, but it is certainly a community aspect, and should be pretty neat that they're rolling it out and making it more accessible. I don't believe they will have it, it's available right now for instant upload partners and affiliates. I don't believe they will have it for people who aren't partners or affiliates, but rolling it out as just a feature for all of those people to have is still a good benefit there. I wanted to highlight, this is I don't want your support chat just because I went to your website. Holy hell. I hate sites that do this. Anyway, Sateki has released a dock, effectively, a USB-C / I think Thunderbolt dock, maybe just USB-C, for the Mac Mini, and mainly targeted at the Mac Mini M1, that has it basically provides a base that the Mac Mini sits on, and then it provides SD card slots, USB, audio, things like that, and it's also an SSD enclosure, which is part of the reason it needs to be that big. And I think this is phenomenal. So you can stick a NVMe SSD in there as well, connect it, and it just becomes part of your Mac enclosure without being something you have to strap to, your Mac Mini with like Velcro or have it sitting around on your desk. I think this is a really clever solution, and I absolutely love seeing it. Although I'm seeing this now, obviously that's just the weirdness of the render, but based on this render, they have the USB port not lined up properly, but I think that's just a weird render thing. CoolerMaster is releasing a collab with Nacho Customs for their MM720 mice, and they have a bunch of different colorways here. You've got Vivid Red, Electric Blue, Erica Pink, Beryl Green, and Light Yellow. So if you like colorful products and you want a color alternative of their kind of short, stubby mouse here, go for it. That mouse looks way too small for me personally, but hey. And then last piece of news here, TikTok is soon rolling out longer 3-minute video options. They have been beta testing this with bigger TikTok channels for a while now, and they seem to be rolling it out as a proper feature, which is pretty neat. I will be interested to see what the analytics data kind of at scale looks like for this, because obviously part of the entire concept of TikTok is you're quickly scrolling through super quick videos, and so doing long form content on there, while beneficial for people like me who have no sense of brevity in the first place, I don't know what audience retention will look like on those. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll certainly make my life easier for syndicating content and things like that, but it will be interesting to see what the viewing experience is like, or whatever. It may be kind of like Instagram, where if you see it on the feed, there will be like a little pop-up that's like continue watching, and otherwise it only plays the first 60 seconds or whatever, and then you keep scrolling. Or maybe they'll just drop the whole 3-minute feed on you, and whether you stick around is up to you. Or maybe they'll have a whole section for longer videos. I don't know. But it's very interesting to see that they are experimenting with it, given that they are the platform that is currently dominating short form content. So pretty soon they're just going to take all of YouTube's features, as YouTube is taking all of TikTok's features, and every site is going to look the same. Who knows? All right, we're going to do a couple unboxings to finish up today's stream, since we are done early a little bit here. It is just some behind the scenes stuff I want to talk about. Let me get that ready real quick. Enjoy the backing track tunes, and I will be back in just a second. All right, so bear with me here. Since my overhead camera isn't working, we're just gonna do this in the chair. So I am working on a couple projects, which I'm not gonna fully talk about just yet, but I want to show you some cool grip gear stuff, which is like accessories that you use to modify and build camera rigs and the things like that. And so we got quite a few things we're gonna open up here, and or at least show what we got to talk about. So we got some big boxes. We had a huge Amazon delivery today. By the way, I have just about every worthwhile to buy microphone arm in existence. And in a couple weeks, I will have a microphone arm shootout that can basically a full buyer's guide of everything you need to know about buying microphone arms. Coming soon. I think you guys will really enjoy it. Well, this box contains a pan for my toaster oven. I don't think you care about that one. This is not Adam's EposVox's cookware reviews. We also have vent covers. Alright, this one's useful for today. Alright. We're getting there. We're getting there. Whee! This box is the one that contains all the interesting stuff. This one is marked as oversized. Actually, I bet we can angle this other camera for it. Hold up. 1 sec. Let's do... Whee! Here we go. There we go. All right, so the awkward part where my house stuff gets mixed in with work stuff. All right, so here's one of the microphone arms I am reviewing. This one is just a generic InnoGear one. I also have the Blue Compass. I have a couple from a new brand that I haven't heard of, but seem to produce some really high quality stuff. I'm of course going to review the Vivo one I have. There's a couple new ones I can't talk about yet. There's some really cool stuff coming out. All right, so this is all the grip gear. Oh yeah, and this is another InnoGear one that is actually higher quality. So whenever you're a creator and you start doing really hardcore video stuff and you need to like build camera rigs and stuff, a lot of your money is spent on stuff that looks like this and looks super boring. It comes in brown boxes. There's no effort put in packaging, and people are like, why is your packaging so bad, or whatever. And I always laugh at that, because this is stuff that's designed to be bought and never put back in the box or whatever. So this right here, this tiny little thing, this is actually a V-mount battery, like I would power my big Ursa Mini Pro camera with. And so it's just a super mini size one. But it is a V-mount battery that will power a camera for a very long time. It also has D-tap power connections, which is a power connection used by a lot of like camera monitors and things like that for you to get extra power. And I thought it had USB. Oh yeah, it's got USB on the top as well. And so this is from Came TV. And typically I use the big beefy V-mount batteries for my cinema camera rig and the like, but this one is going on a smaller camera rig that I'm stoked to show you. But it just comes in plain brown boxes that you never think anything about. We've also got stuff like this. Whee! And this stuff gets expensive when you have to buy a ton of it. But the good thing is this isn't stuff you buy and just use once and then don't care about. This is stuff you can keep for decades and always find uses for in your camera builds. So this right here is a tiny little thing. It's a cold shoe mount that allows me to mount a monitor on it and provides full swivel as well as, I believe, tilt for mounting a monitor on like a camera rig. And so I have a couple of these for different camera rig setups. We've got, what's in here? I'm always having to buy more grip gear and things like that. Oh yeah, these are called NATO rails. They're at least rails. I don't know if they're called NATO rails. These are 15mm rails. You put them on, you need a plate that they connect to in the first place, or a mount that they use, but then you use them to attach other accessories, like a follow focus, or... Ah, Jesus Christ. And so these comes in all sorts of sizes, but like my follow focus motor actually sits on this, and this mounts underneath the camera, and then you attach it and modify with stuff like this. And so these little things that you never see are things that can actually eat up a ton of your budget for a while, but then you have them forever. And the more of this junk that you collect, and especially since it's also small and modular, the more you're able to build cool projects and things like that. What is this one? Oh yeah. Wait, what is this? Oh, this was, okay. So this is from ArcScan, I believe. This is effectively an Elgato multi-mount alternative, but it could also be used as a microphone arm. And so I'm actually doing a whole video about Elgato multi-mount alternatives. But this clamps to your desk, like the Elgato multi-mount does. And then spins around here and has a full, like, ball head on the mount itself, and then an elbow, and then a ball head with a nice little screw adapter here. And what's fun is this is actually compatible with the Elgato multi-mount accessories, because you unscrew this and it comes out just like the Elgato multi-mount stuff. There's also some stuff from Archon that has the same connection style. And so you could actually combine this with some of the Elgato multi-mount accessories, or even put this whole arm on an Elgato multi-mount potentially. The head down here is bigger, so maybe not, but at least up top you could use the Elgato multi-mount accessories. So lots of cool stuff like that once you start getting into grip gear and the like. So I'm gonna have a whole video, well, I'm gonna have multiple videos with all the stuff you've seen today in various forms and fashions, but I'm gonna have a couple specific videos using the little like granular grip gear pieces that I am very stoked for. Cujo says he needs that arm, so I'm gonna actually link that specific one in the description, because I think it will sell out if I talk about it before the video is made. So I want to go ahead and give you all an opportunity to purchase it. Here we go. This is the Arc Scan. It's expensive. It's more expensive than the Elgato multi-mount, actually. But I think it's actually really cool. Here, I'll pull up the product page. So price-wise, this is definitely a worse value than the Elgato multi-mount. But the Elgato multi-mount has had stock issues, so whatever. This is, I believe, $85 after the coupon. And every time I've looked at this, the coupon has been there. So I think this is one of those where they want to make you feel like you're getting a coupon, but really the price is $85 or whatever. But you can use it for overhead camera mounts, you can use it for microphones, you can use it for anything. And I think the flexibility of the mounting capabilities with the elbow and stuff is actually a little bit more advantageous depending on what you're doing than the Elgato multi-mount. There are plenty of scenarios like my teleprompter I have mounted right now where the solid rod is, I should not have made that gesture on camera because someone's going to gif it. The solid rod is actually a better mounting solution than this, and there's plenty of scenarios where that is the case, but there's also plenty of scenarios where you want some more flexibility, and both the elbow as well as the ball head at the bottom and the top provide that flexibility. So it depends on what your uses are and things like that. That's about it for today's stream. Chandler, yes, I'm actually going to the P.O. box as soon as the stream is over, actually to pick that up, so I will reply on Twitter once I have it in hand. Thank you so much for watching today's streamer news. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace!